Hi all, we're going to look at another key game from the Hastings Congress. This time David Howell, Grandmaster Howell, who's 2593, was playing another Grandmaster, Kurnosov, who's a Russian young GM, rated 2606. Kurnosov actually turned out to be the tournament winner, and David Howell came third equal along with Simon Williams. So in this game Howell kicked off with e4 and Kurnosov played e5, and now Howell played for the Giuoco Piano, so that's this bishop c4 move, and Kurnosov just went for symmetrical Giuoco Piano, just playing bishop c5. So it seems as though this is like a game between two high school kids, because this is what you learned kind of at high school, that the f7 square is a basic tactical target in the opening, and White has simple developments here of pieces, nothing too sophisticated. But here White now plays c3, so he's breaking the symmetry at last, not putting a knight there, that would be very stodgy. Instead White aims later to play maybe d4, or more quietly with d3 and just manoeuvre this knight, often like to d2 to f1 to g3 later. Black just played knight f6, and we actually saw the quieter version d3 instead of more aggressive d4. After d6, bishop b3, the bishop is also rerouting to c2, so maybe when later White plays for d4, that bishop's going to be dangerous on this diagonal. Black now plays a6 to be able to tuck in his bishop on a7 potentially, if needed. After h3, he now actually challenges that light squared bishop, offering White the opportunity to give him double pawns, but White doesn't really want to do that, because then this semi-open file pressure would be useful, and f4 is going to be a useful outpost here, especially with White playing h3. It's going to be more difficult to dislodge something. So White avoided the traded bishops there, just played bishop c2, and now Black played actually d5, just liberating his position quite quickly. David played knight bd2, and after Black castled, he played queen e2. So it seems, White's moves are quite logical, but there is a certain passivity evidenced here. It's like White's, hugging the e4 square, but look at Black's pieces, they seem to be, very logically and aggressively placed. Black played queen e7, just keeping that central tension there for a moment. So there's always the possibility now of either d takes e4 or d4. Now knight f1 was played, so not castling first, just getting the knight to g3 first. After b5, it seems Black potentially is going to try and soften up White on these dark squares. If he can get in b4 and trying to undermine White's control of the d4 square, then that's going to be quite dangerous for White positionally. Knight g3, and now rook ad8. So again the question is, when is Black going to play either d4 or d takes e4? After bishop g5, we see here White playing in quite a tactical manner. Based on the position of this bishop, it seems to be this pin is going to be more painful than usual because of this bishop over on the queen's side. But Black didn't seem too worried. He just played h6, and after bishop h4, it would be reckless to try g5 here. If g5 to try and win that bishop, knight takes g5 is indeed a very strong piece sack. For example, say knight b8, then knight h5, and this pin is quite lethal. Say knight d7, queen f3, just increasing the pressure until a piece is going to be lost here. So this would start to be completely hopeless, and now finally White could just take with massive advantage. So Black doesn't want to play g5 here. Instead, after bishop h4, Black actually played something much more positional in nature, not going for material, but emphasising that this bishop is actually locked in behind these white pawns. Black played d4. So kind of nice positional move, but it also means that again this position of the bishop and this here means that White is kind of guided already into this plan of tactically trying to exploit this pin, and that is the start of a later downfall of White's position actually. After castles, Black played g6, and g6 means potentially, the king can come to g7 or h7 and rook h8. And now actually king h1 was played. This was preparing a surprising piece sacrifice to try and exploit this pin on the knight. After king h7, David Howell played knight takes e5. Unfortunately for David, there's a tactical hole in this move. Black accepted the piece sacrifice, and after f4, it seems very dangerous now for this bishop on h4, eyeing the queen indirectly. So Black, though, has an amazing tactic at his disposal. He played knight back simply to d7, inviting e5 to try and regain that piece. But David actually played queen f3, so why couldn't he have played e5? Let's have a look. e5, there's actually two very good moves for Black, which actually exploits, believe it or not, the vulnerability of this bishop and also this queen and king position. I wonder if you can spot it. I'll give you 5 seconds starting from now. Okay, the move here would be knight e4, because if bishop takes e7, unfortunately there's knight takes g3 check, and it's kind of backfiring on white, where white's just left material down with no compensation. Another move worth considering as well is just knight h5. According to Rybka, this is also quite strong. If queen takes h5, g takes, bishop takes f5, bishop d5, again advantage to Black. But knight e4 would be the best move here. So David actually avoided all this. He played actually queen f3. So he's actually a piece down. And now Black wriggles out of the pin. He plays queen e8, just unpinning. And after e5, he uses the queen's position now on f3, again to play a sharp tactical move, just attacking the queen, bishop d5. And after queen f2, now Black plays another great move. This time, exploiting this pin on this pawn. It seems, in every moment of these GM games, there's an immense amount of resources. It makes as though, they had much more time than it seems possible to do anything. It seems, White's, forcing Black to do something about this knight and this pin, but Black now casually plays a very nice move instead of moving the knight. I wonder if you can spot it again. I'll give you 5 seconds, starting from now. Black just played queen e6, believe it or not. Again, menacing this bishop, because if e takes, then queen takes h3. Check. And that horrible pin on White's king. Queen takes h4, and Black's winning, clearly winning again. So basically, after this other surprise move, queen e6, David must be getting very annoyed now with this. He plays knight e4, and Black just took on e4. And after d takes, the queen is exposed again to one of the Black bishops. d3, queen f3, Black takes on c2, e takes f6. So Black's a piece down, but he seems to have a mass of pawns as compensation. After rook fe8, e5, Black just plays knight b6. So he's rerouting his knight quite dangerously into the white position now, either to c4 or to d5. He actually goes to c4. And now rook on the 7th. It seems White's position is really falling apart here now. The pressure is starting to increase. Black dominates the d file. It's a really nightmare scenario to face, that Black's achieved such a dominating position a piece up. So basically, after the exchange of rooks and the exchange of queens, the rest was really just technique, because Black's a piece up. There's a slight danger with these pawns still, but after knight takes, David actually played c4 here, and Black just played f takes e6, willing to give up a piece. After c5, just bishop takes c5, and White resigns. So that was really quite a tactical encounter in many ways. So this was a key win from the eventual winner of the tournament, a young Russian grandmaster by the name of Kurnosov. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave any comments on YouTube. Thanks very much.